Hello everybody, Adam here from the Hammer Game Channel. Welcome back to TNO and to another new playthrough. Absolutely obsessed with this mod, and I'm probably not the only one. But yes, we're here with the Siberian Black Army. Well, they're anarchists. To most, anarchy is a derogatory term, one that means the total collapse of society and best suits war-torn nations. Bursting this seems of misery and suffering. To the Black Army of Central Siberia, anarchy is not a term to be spat out at a political opponent. Anarchy is something to be cherished, to be embraced as the end state of natural progression of humanity. While contrarians shout for the rafters of the failures of anarchism, the people residing within the commune care little for their opinion. The deep sense of camaraderie and fellowship that had been fostered in the free territory over the last few years can show that anarchism is the underdog ideology, seemingly impossible, yet in practice bringing prosperity to the people. Anarchy, of course, can be something much, much darker. If one were to ask General Ivan Stepanov if he was an anarchist, as he led the division into Yagoda's eastern rump state, the officer in the Central Siberian Republic would not certainly turn you away. Not out of his commitment to Russian democracy, or out of disdain for the tyranny of Yagoda regime, but out of opportunism. It was opportunism that got him transferred out of Western Front. It was opportunism that got him within the highest echelons of the CSR. When Stepanov looked out to his weary troops on the day of the final assault towards Irkutsk, he saw a decade of war and people yearning for peace, but more so he saw an opportunity. Lev Krasnopevtsev was nothing more than a student when his life was ripped away from him. Growing up in Bukharin's Russia, Lev saw his failures of state on a daily basis. It was his father who had instilled in him the disdain for not just the Tsar or the fascist, but for the oppressive state in any form, in any clothes it may try and disguise itself. Even as the CSR claimed to be the torchbearer of the people's struggle for peace, it marches war-torn men into war daily. Krasnopevtsev made impassioned speeches before his countrymen, calling for freedom, for war, and those who send men off to die in it. Fate works in strange ways, and in our life, General Stepanov would have most likely only seen Lev from the end of a long rifle, and yet by pure chance the two were able to strike a deal. Stepanov would provide the military power, and Krasnopevtsev would bring his popular support to the table. The pieces were set in place, with the final act of rebellion the Free Territory established itself as an independent land, far from the grip of the state. While the Free Territory may be equipped to deal with the external threats, Krasnopevtsev will soon find that the greatest threats are the ones that come from within. To decide the fate of anarchism, muster a strong defence force to protect the people from the state. Make Mother Anarchy proud. Riding on! So we start off with 7 divisions. We're not too bad. We have a wee little tree to begin with. Mother Anarchy's eldest sons. The Siberian Black Army, formed in the fall to the collapse of the Yagoda's empire a few years ago, has become the torchbearer of anarchist ideology. Unbeknownst to the rest of the world across the frontier, we thrive in our own lands. The free territory we have created was formed on the foundations of militarized anarchism, led by the Black Army's first supporters. However, for us to spread the message of our ideology and liberate our neighbours, there's a long road ahead, one crowded with hurdles, but an opportunity for success as well. Our communes must be improved, while stripping them of their rights in the stateless society. The Black Army, the core unit responsible for their defence, must also be improved, lest we be defenceless when the free territory is in danger. If everything goes as planned, then we'll soon be ready to face the future. Liberty born of necessity. We start with 4 factories. We have the PPSH. Oh, glorious. That's all we need. Glorious. I do eventually want to get closer support fighters. Easier said than done. Research, we'll go ahead and upgrade you. We'll get to the vacuum tube computing. We'll get that. We actually have a civilian factory, which we'll use to build a civilian factory. We'll build a couple actually. So we have 4 national spirits to begin with. We have the legacy of the Siberian plan. Our statelet lies in a unique region of Russia, the former area that Bukharin's and the Central Siberian Republic's grand industrial project was sited. Secure machinery and infrastructure and rebuilding sections of the Siberian plan will provide great boost to our statelet. Right now it's big fat donut. The Siberian Free Territory. So -10 political power gain, -10 division organisation, but +15 stability. Our little patch of land is one of the few places on this downtrodden earth where the ideals of anarchism can thrive, while the threat of revisionists or counter-revolutionaries. However, our little commune, as spirited as it is, needs more than just revolutionary spirit. It needs a purpose and unity of direction. Without these, our experiment will collapse. Militarized society, we get 1.5 recruit population, 10% recruit population factor, and 15 war support. We are not the weak and defensive commune spread throughout Russia, secure in our ideals, and confident that the forces of reaction and the tyrannical outside world shall not conspire to destroy us. No, we are far more enlightened than that. The revolution shall always have enemies, and so our guns shall not rest until every corner of our land has been touched by the benevolent hand of Mother Anarchy. The Black Army administration is at moderate, so we have 15 division recovery rate, 10 attack, and daily despotic support plus 0.04. In order to bring the revolution to all of Siberia and ensure our freedom is protected from those who would destroy us, we must ensure that we are well practiced in self-defense. The Black Army thus ensures that there truly is a rifle behind every blade of grass, and the natural administrative shortcomings of anarchism. I'm on pause. I'm an idiot. Compensated by leaders of the Black Army for control. Okay, good. Indeed, I was wondering why this wasn't going up. It's only 21 days. Election day, a slight glimmer of hope. I'm going to have a lot of reading this episode, just like every episode on DNO. That's a good cuppa. You can't record a video, guys, without a cuppa. The Reich's last conquest, and we do not care. Could you imagine if we unify the whole nation under anarchy? Failure after failure, collapse after collapse, tyranny after insufferable tyranny, authority rebuilds, and the people writhe in agony under the thumb of kleptocrats and autocrats. The Tsar has not failed us. Bukharin has not failed us. The Duma has not failed us. Only one thing has ultimately led the people down: authority. Unchallenged and absolute authority cowers behind many symbols: the swastika, the sun, the torch, all symptoms of the same overarching illness plaguing the world. The cure has been apparent since humanity's inception: cooperation. Anarchism, not the absence of normalcy, rather a return to it. Local communities work together for harvest and to repel wandering bandits. In lieu of manufactured division, the free people of Siberia seek a greater good. In the sea of chaos and authoritarian rule, the Black Army stands as a vanguard for the downtrodden and vulnerable. The unfortunate reality of our situation is that we are unable to help everyone. Russia provides many challenges to remote villages under the protection of the Black Army. Famine, the elements, and deranged savages haunt the minds of fathers tolling fields. Armies of old serve the state, not the people. The new anarchist age will be ushered in by the peoples. Well, not the long arm of the state. Foreign powers slander Russia for descending into complete anarchy. That is not anarchy. This is the curtain being pulled back to reveal the end state of oppression. While Russia may be in the chaos, the free territory turns a different direction, not falling back in the same authority that shattered our home, but towards a future spearheaded by the will of the people. The people will emancipate themselves. Convene the Security Council. Even though the Siberian Black Army is the greatest advocate of true liberty for the Russian people, it would be a lie to claim that, in the current situation we find ourselves in, organized protection by a fighting force is not needed. Thus, we have adopted the system of militarized anarchism our people have come to adore. Crucial to this system is the Security Council, composed of leading commanders of every organized militia force to the Black Army. Of course, these commanders are all elected by the soldiers themselves, and this is the way we can be sure they represent their voices and their interests. Another session of the Security Council will surely help us bring up and deal with all recent matters of security, provide stability, and an event called a much quieter meeting. Question is, who the hell we're going to be invading first? Probably this way. I'm going to guess with you. We're going to go across that river. Oh, the Kemputai assassin has struck the Führer. Naughty, naughty, Japan. Naughty, naughty. The Tsushima Tunnel Project. Good old Tsushima. And Borman's been named the successor again. Why? Form the Siberian Free Territory. Oh, scavenge for loot. Legacy of Siberian Plan. Oh, decreases factory industrial capacity. Warlord development. Okay, cool. All interesting stuff, of course. I do quite fancy scavenging for loot. We probably will jump into that. Do you know what? We're fine. We're not in negative, so we'll go ahead and scavenge. It does bring down our factory output, but it would be quite good for those. So we're going to end up at war with Tomsk. I know that. That is going to happen. It's going to happen. The legacy of democratic Russia. Get in the bin, mate. Muffled laughter echoed out from behind the door. Guarding the room stood two men, straight face and erect. A straight face and erect. Okay, their weapons at their side. Evening, companions. Without a word, when the men turned on his heel and twisted the knob. What are we talking about here? With an audible creak, the general stepped into the dimly lit and smoke-infested room. Comrade Krasnopetsev, what luck. Good to see you, bah. Companion Chapayev flashed a seething glance at the balding man adjacent to him. It's disappointing to hear you echo the vernacular of oppression. Just a slip-up, Lev. A simple misunderstanding, I can assure you. Perhaps what you misunderstood is where you are, Companion Kapayev. Tell me, do you take orders from our comrades who brought upon the people of Russia's tyranny? The trembling man shook his head. No, Companion Krasnopetsev. My loyalty lies only with the downtrodden, those we've sworn to protect. Krasnopetsev's face softened. I know, Companion Chapayev. You've contributed much to our struggle. You're the least of our worries. What keeps me up at night is the potential for crazed individuals fully subservient to false god. Be that currency or man, mistaken our openness for weakness and chaining this beautiful beast we have created. Tyranny hides everywhere, from your thoughts to your words, and I think it's more than apparent we will not stand for tyranny, for senseless slaughter and rape, for the prosecution of defenseless. Companions, we must nip tyranny in the bud. Who will join me in claiming the first victory in the battle for control of ourselves by casting out comrade from our dialect? Silence dominated the room, the cracks of fire, and the rapidly beating hearts of men were the only things signifying the passage of time. God's sake, Lev, leave the man alone. Did you come here to spout propaganda and make a man soil himself? Would you like to have a productive meeting? Stepanov and Krasnopetsev met eyes, one pair of flame and sent messages of quiet rage, and the other content for yet another swift victory. The military man crumpily pulled back his chair and plopped down into it. Companion, spoke Stepanov. With that out the way, I'm sure we're ready to begin. Friction and the wheels of power. Convene the General Assembly. The General Assembly of Siberian Black Army was one of the organs created in our first years of existence, aiming to coordinate policy between each and every anarchist commune we liberate. Being regularly convened, it often deals with everyday matters, yet matters that are still important to the flawless function of the free territory. As time goes on, we continue to survive in this chaotic and unstable environment, and that has a lot to do with the fact that we maintain our ideals of anarchy without letting our guard down. For this to continue, we must also pursue eternal cooperation, and a General Assembly provides us with an excellent way to do that, by discussing the affairs of our lands openly and transparently. Good, giving that political power. We currently have one loot. Good. We're going to have two loot, which means we can do something with it. We can maybe buy something. Wait, no way. No way. Buyatea's gone. Kansk is here. What the hell? This is the first time I've seen them win. Unbelievable. Well, it might not be. I've just not paid attention well enough. Definitely didn't happen in my Sverdlovsk playthrough. Right, to change that and change that. Actually, we didn't change it right. Didn't change it right. We should have a look at our generals and field marshals, if we even have any. Which we will do. Let's have a look. So field marshal wise, we have Stepan. Oh my gosh. The ancient man scratched at his greying whiskers as he glanced over his speech once again. It seemed alright, but now something was off. He couldn't place his finger on it, but something was amiss. I take great honour to make the first speech of this year before the assembly, the man mumbled under his breath. How many times had he gone over it now? Was he expecting something to change? It was a simple, well put together speech. Just stand and read. How hard can that be? Peeking around the corner, he saw the seemingly unending lines of people begin to dwindle as every nook and cranny of the Grand Hall was occupied by grizzled veterans of the Black Army and the tightly bundled up mothers gripping their children near. There was only so much time left now. He tugged at his collar. This was supposed to be liberating. What liberation this was. It felt like a circus. as if he was no more than an animal on stage performing tricks for sneering crowds of Siberia. He shook the negative thoughts out of his head. This was a great honour, a golden opportunity to make a name for himself and to usher in great change for his community. Taking his seat amongst the sea of people, he sheepishly fiddled with his pocket watch. It was a fine piece of work, pure gold in a matter of that. He had gotten it from his father back during the war, who he assumed got it from his father, or perhaps stole it of a dead soldier. It reminded him, "Companion Timothy Dmitrovich, you are solely recognised by this body. What news do you bring?" His face paled. While lost in thought, he had completely forgotten the entire meeting. He cleared his throat, flashing a nervous grin. It was a lot for a simple speech. All around him, the banner of Black Army gently swayed. "Nowhere else in Russia is such a noble peace maintained. Our brothers and sisters have stood up to oppression and have removed the arbitrary barriers that divided us, brick by brick. I take great honour to make the first speech before the Assembly, but would also like to extend my message to all of Russia. We have excelled in all aspects. The Black Army stands behind us as we march on towards liberation." Timothy paused to catch his breath and noticed the absent-minded gaze of the crowd. He whipped his head around. Bored and tired eyes prevailed all around. Nonetheless, he opened his mouth to speak again. He could barely draw breath before a member of the committee raised a hand. "Thank you, companion Dmitrovich. Your words echo the feeling of us all here. Please return to your seat." "What? I have only just begun." Oh well. So, let's choose the next focus and I'll have a look at these guys. The Third Congress of Kansk. The town of Kansk lies in Siberia, on the linchpin connecting the Far East with the rest of the nation, and has become the greatest example of the success of our anarchist experiment. In the buildings where Yagoda's puppets used to govern from, the tradition of the Congress of Kansk has developed. There, every few years, representatives across the lands of the Black Army convene. The issues to be discussed are plenty, and are often important to the foundations of free territory themselves. The delegates shall present the state the Black Army finds itself in, and the progress which has been made in establishing a lawless society in central Siberia. With this, we can reflect on what we have achieved since the day of our foundation. The City of Oz. Right. Field Marshals. We just have one. Stepan Valentev, who has 5 attack, 2 defense, 2 planning, and 2 supply, or logistics rather. Which is not bad at all. We'll put him in charge of the generals. Alexei Klupsky, Nikolai Chapayev, Ivan Stepanov, Mikhail Klitschikov, definitely said that wrong, Philip Klemenko, and Adrenev Misrenko. Okay, we'll get Alexei in. Oh my gosh, we have so many. Oh yes, because we've got political power. Do we want to do any of this? I think what we'll do is we shall new industrial equipment. Let's do it. Are we finished raiding? The Third Congress is finished. Present elected officer candidates. Another proud tradition of the Siberian Black Army, following the beliefs of the original whatever that is, an all true anarchist, is the democratic election of all officers. Instead of blindly abiding by the traditional autocratic command structures, every commander of the army, made by the people to protect the people, is elected democratically. The soldier assemblies are the ones responsible for carrying out that process, and furthermore, any officer can be recalled at any point. Over the years of our existence, we have succeeded in perfecting this process to the point where competent men rise to the top through the choice of the troops. As the Third Congress of Kansk progresses, we must show the state of the military and those at its helm. Thus, those elected by the soldiers' assemblies shall make their appearance in the Congress, to present it to the communal delegates and discuss other matters. The City of Oz. Oh gosh, the little girl wrapped up in countless layers of fur shivered in anticipation. She had only heard of the city from tales from her father. Her imagination ran rampant with fantasies of magnificent towers, spires that could pierce the heavens, painted in the scarlet and inky black pattern so prevalent in her home. Above all else, the child anticipated the only real landmark from her father's fables, the Grand Archway. Allegedly, the first exhibition of the Black Army began as the idealists crossed the threshold, passing from one anarchy to another. She was infatuated with the ideals of her father, and this instilled in her that of liberty and true freedom, unchallenged anywhere in the world. The frigid temperature of the vehicle brought the girl back to reality, despite the coat large enough to cover an animal 3 times round. Looking up to her father in the driver's seat, the bored child whined, "Albin, Albin, 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 are we there yet? Just about, my dear. Do you see that? The grizzled man motioned out of the window of an aging truck. You can see the hall, the birthplace of revolution right there. Your old man was there when little Maxime brought the news of the collapse of the Republic. It was hilarious. The poor guy nearly shit himself reading that out. The truck splittered to a stop before the gate. The eager girl excitedly pressed her face against the glass. Windy liquor. It was just as her father described and more. A fist slammed against the window, startling the young woman. Before her stood a bearded man, cigarette hanging from his mouth. The man motioned for the driver to roll down the window, and he complied. You're here for the Congress, I presume. I'm afraid that due to recent skirmishes with surrounding territories, we are bolstering security. We'll have you patted down, your truck requisitioned, and your belongings examined. You can never be too safe when the reactionaries tie us to the plot to destroy this experiment. This isn't what she imagined. No! How dare you ruin this little girl's time? Right, can we get any factories here? Increases worker discontent by 1. Oh, I don't want to increase their discontent. Legacy of the Siberian plant. We do want to kind of increase this, because we can get some nice wee bonuses. We can stack them, surely. Oh, increase worker discontent by 5. Increase consumer goods by 5%. Don't really want to do that either. I feel like everything's that's going to increase consumer goods during it. Well, I don't really want to do that right now because I do want to build more have we built a civvy? Oh, we have. Grand. Now we've got 2. 2 working away. Election day. Companion Nestor was born for this position, but his namesake does not justify it alone, inflicting heavy casualties against the frankly far better equipped Soviet forces. Nestor proved himself not a man of opportunism, but of heroism. I cannot sing enough praises for the man. Clasping his hands together and meeting eyes with each member of the Security Council. Matvey returned to his seat by the young man, flushed with excitement. You're a shoe-in. It was a pleasure working with you, he grinned, extending his hand to the boy. The men at council murmured between themselves in deliberation. Matvey furrowed his eyebrows. What was taking so long? The boy was an inspiration, something for the next generation of Black Army to look up to. Peter sat for what appeared to be days, months maybe. Years it felt like. Centuries of side-eye glances from the pudgy senior members of the council. I believe we have reached the consensus. Matvey sighed and relief. Finally, we find in a vote of 8 to 1, Companion Nestor is not to be promoted this time. All throughout Russia, everyone could hear the sound of the jaw of Matvey hitting the floor. This council does not stand for cults. Companion Matvey, this is something you should be well aware of. We're not looking for propaganda, men. Furthermore, this action is granted reasonable cause for investigation into your loyalties. This decision is not open to appeal. Matvey's mind flickered between emotions. How could they do this? He was under investigation. They may as well have shot him dead on the spot. We'll hear the next prospecting officer. Unlike before, the only man strode up to the podium. A boy, barely 20, his hair unkempt. Your name, companion? I'm Mikhail Stepanov. My father encouraged me to consider an advancement in my career after successfully overseeing the resupply of our local garrison. The men of the council shot each other knowing glances, except from one. Ivan Stepanov. The boy's father smiled softly and stared straight forward. Well, I think we need to hear no more. Unanimously, this council approves the motion. Present revolutionary security reports. The Army of the Free Territory provides the backbone of protecting our liberated lands. As if it wasn't for them, we would have never broken the chains, and we would still be under the rule of the totalitarian empire of Yagoda, or the democratic state of Central Siberia. However, ensuring that all units function and their actions are synchronized and harmonized with the rest is an incredibly difficult task. For that reason, security reports that outline the local situation across our territories and help coordinate efforts to relieve commune from dangers and defend them. With the Third Congress of Kansk taking place, security reports can be important to show the big picture in Central Siberia and how it affects the anarchist communes. Unity in dealing with the threats we face is massively important to the chaos of Russian warlordism. Get 5 stability and another event. Another one. Industrial investments, let's do that. It doesn't matter which type we get as long as we get one, which we will. I think. There's no fail condition to that. Yeah, it's just a chance of which one it will be. I still can't believe they won. Not them. These guys. The Great Purge. Oh well, it wouldn't be a HOI4 game without a great purge of some sort happening. There's good old little Sverdlovsk over there. An extensive list of grievances. Deep within the halls of Congress, tucked away in the back corners of the Chamber of Concerns and desired improvements. The only place feared more than the interrogation rooms of Miss Horenko. Demolished, everything gone from that hunt, and that was only the first day. The second day, some bastard from up north brought a whole pack of dogs into my fucking farmland. Have you seen the damage 30 wolves can do? How will I provide for my children? For the children of my neighbour, it is my duty to provide for the entire fucking village. Pavel and his fat soul wife, couldn't grow crops if they walked in the soil themselves. We are going to, or even listening. In all honesty, Arcadia hadn't been listening from the beginning. Had they even expected them to? Just like all the rest, he would nod, they would grumble about his swift death, and life would go on. His wife, Mila, was kind enough to accompany him at least. She was a fool though. She listened. She nodded along, but did so with strained eyes, focusing on each word said, and jotting down notes simultaneously. Your situation is just not unattainable, Mr. Kuznetsov. It's abhorrent. Your embodied and beautiful spirit, one that wraps itself around this land and shields us from the threat of utter annihilation. Bewildered but flattered, the talking man found himself at a loss for words. Arkady chuckled softly to himself. Oh, Mila, your golden tongue is unrivaled. Mila hardly noticed the words of her husband, her attention focused solely on the paper before her. With a sheer tear, Mila handed the paper to the man. Bring this to Dayman. He will assure grain is relocated to your community. Thank you for bringing this issue to our attention. We have preserved the integrity of this free land. Thank you. I wasn't expecting any action on this, let alone this fast. Content, the man turned around and promptly left. Are you proud of that one, Mila? She nodded, still lost in her notes. I hope so. The line is extending into the hallway. A long night ahead. Present local development results. To show the success of our experiment to the great number of communal delegates in the Congress of Kansk, the results of projects in the self-governments and all settlements must be shown. It is undisputable that to one degree or another, every village and town has received help, not from the state authority, but merely through the principles of anarchy. That all the locals have freely developed their home. We need to highlight this by getting experts to present their findings and reports in the developing communities in the Congress. This way, we shall also convince the more stubborn delegates of the effectiveness of our system. 2 building slots and a slight glimmer of hope event. Gosh, reading and more reading. How thick are you, divisions? Not great. What I'm actually going to do is out-of-date equipment. Where's the out-of-date guns? Oh, there it is. Mosin Nagant. Thank you. Just I want more guns. I want more guns. Guns. 30 days until we get our factory of some sort. Oh, didn't mean to do that. A slight glimmer of hope. Coil paced across the floor of the assembly hall. Security Council rife with tilted heads and confused glances observed the spectacle. Charts sat atop their stands, adored with lines ebbing and flowing. The numbers mattered little to the members of the council. The graphs said it all. Progress being made, but was far away from completion. Companions, I'd like to begin by noting the significant growth in communal cooperation. As you may know, we have hit our Coil cleared his throat. Road bumps along the way, as to say that we started out with little, frankly, nothing at all. But do not misconceive my words for contempt for this land. However, I only mention this to emphasize the massive structural change brought about in the preceding years. With the past out of the way, we can focus solely on the future, and assure you, companions, the future is bright. I have compiled the data comparing the industrial output, as you can see here, he pointed to the chart, depicting the steady growth of populated areas. You can see, even accounting for our most isolated companions, we are able to pick up the slack without running the risk of upsetting the balance. Companion Chekhov set his pen down and turned his attention to the presenter. We quite involved with the process, and I can only echo the words of Companion Goyo, though I do have a question for the speaker. Where we are performing well now, how would your data change if the surrounding territories were liberated? Well, it would certainly do no harm. Ultimately, the empowerment of our people is our top priority. This means to bring the empowerment to fruition, and certainly in place already. Expanding security patrols of the Black Army would be beneficial all around, is what I am hearing. Undoubtedly. I believe we have our next motion. Riding on, the Siberian Black Army create amidst a sea of chaos and authoritarianism. must remain an island of stability and true liberty. Our neighbouring warlords have become textbook examples of what we wish not to become, and so we strive to stay away from them, instead pursuing our anarchist dream. Solely through the will and the determination of our people, we slowly begin to overcome the problems that have plagued us for so long. To develop Central Siberia for the good of the colonies, and since we are heading into conflict with other warlords, we must do everything we can to ensure that the Black Army will come out of this as the victor. Political power and moving forwards. Oh, we are going to destroy everybody. I do wish we had some more divisions though. Well, they only have 2 to 4. At least with the Mosin Nagant in a production, we will be able to get more divisions soon. Saying that, depends what we get for the next tree that opens up. Ah, glorious. The world looks mostly peaceful right now. Well, actually, you can't really say it's peaceful, because although Germany's not at war with anyone, they're still bombing the crap out of everybody. Yeah, terror bombings here, they're bombing the, well, Africa, they're just shooting it down. So, just unbelievable. Unbelievable of them. Moving forward. And there's the World Cup. Brazil has won it. Good for them. Companions, I believe we have our next motion. I'm just going to call him Kilich. Smiled and rested his head on his hand. Obviously, it is clear that in all aspects we see resounding success. Think of our system as a grand clockwork. Picture the thousands of moving parts working together, but independently. We build on top of each other, our hands interlocked as our gears, pushing forward the hands of progress until time runs out for the Reich, the Japanese kleptocrats, and the puppet show that is American democracy. How could the Black Army function without arms? How could our weapon factories churn out the goods they do not do without the mandate of the people? How would the people sleep soundly at night if it were not for the Black Army? You see, companions, we are interwoven, all essential parts of one grand experiment. Make no mistake, when I say we, I do not just mean those in this room, in this town, the land safeguarded by the brave men and women of the Black Army. No, our goal is much too essential to settle for this. When I say we, I speak to all of Russia, to the world, to the human race, that the chains that bind you are no longer essential. Seeing this, I motion for an immediate shift in policy towards the modernization of this land, as well as the expansion of the Black Army to be properly equipped to tackle the threats of our neighbours pose. Who stands with me? Before he had finished, many have already raised their hands in approval. Kilich nodded. Unanimously, this council approves the motion for a shift in policy. United, there is no stopping us. Good. Good. Okay, this is our new tree. Glorious. So what we got here? A black spring. Winter is over, and the spring Rasputitsa has ended. Red mantle, bowling slots, civilian factory, bombed out rails. Right guys, I'm going to leave that episode there, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, maybe consider leaving a like on the video, and if you're new around here, maybe even consider subscribing to keep up to date on all my fabulous stuff. So until next time guys, take care, cheer bye, the now.